One question we always have to ask ourselves when we are running our business is how do we separate ourselves, our business, from all of the other competitors in our market? Especially when we put ourselves in the shoes of our consumer and they are looking at all these different options out there. They, in many ways, don't always understand what you do better than everybody else. And that is a huge issue when it comes to trying to sell them. Because if they don't understand the difference, you're no more than a commodity and they're purely going to pick you based on who has the lowest price. And in this video, we're not really going to talk about it from the perspective of how do we get more leads in the door and paint the picture before they actually fill out the form and become a lead. We're going to talk about it from the perspective of after they've submitted that form and how do you convince that lead as they are, you have to know they're reaching out to several of your competitors. They're not just reaching out to you. So how do we convince that lead after they've submitted the form that you are the company that they absolutely have to move forward with? And there is an incredible example, something from Dan Kennedy he did in his own business called the shock and awe box. And this was all about when somebody submitted their form and it was a qualified lead and they were interested in potentially working with Dan Kennedy's company, he would send them this box. And this box would be full of case studies, testimonials. In your case, it could be full of pictures from past projects. In addition to that, he would also include a handwritten letter on top of that stack of case studies with a thank you, a welcome to the community, as well as 7 reasons why Dan Kennedy's company stood out from every other company that they probably reached out to. In this right here, converted a huge amount of their leads into sales because they showed the consumer not only are they the absolute best company on the market that will probably do the best work, but also that Dan Kennedy's company cared about that consumer. They're not just a number in the system. They're not just another lead that they're semi-interested in working with. They showed the lead that they wanted to work with them and they were motivated to do that. And this meant a huge amount to that lead because especially when you are working around consumers' homes, their properties, you have to remember that they want a company who cares about what they do because chances are the companies that don't care, they're the ones who do poor work and they're the ones who often are the poorly rated companies. So you want to show them that you and your team care about working with this company and you're ultimately communicating that you're going to do good quality work. And of course, below that letter that Dan Kennedy provided in the shock and awe box was proof for that. They would have the case studies, the testimonials, and again, in your case, probably a lot of pictures of past projects in there so the lead would actually see what kind of stuff you can do. This was huge. And this is an incredibly simple idea. You're probably spending $5, $10 on this box. Now, the question that you have to ask yourself is it worth to spend this amount of money on each lead? And this is really up to your numbers in your business. If you are only making $15 from each customer, it's probably not worth sending them a $10 box. Now, in your case, the question is though, okay, you have to ask yourself, how much is each customer worth to me over, say, a year, or maybe their entire lifetime of working with you? Chances are you probably noticed a pattern. Hey, customers tend to stick with me for 4 years before they move or just ultimately find another company. So how much are they worth to me over the course of their lifetime? If they spend $2,000 a year with me, is it worth spending $10 on a shock and awe box idea to go make sure that these leads coming through the door actually turn into paying customers? Probably so. So that's what you have to think about. Now, one question that I often get, or that I'm sure you may also think about, is how do I make sure that this box doesn't go out to a whole bunch of unqualified leads? And in this case, it's probably not setting it up to where whenever somebody submits your form, it goes and triggers an automated shipment. It's probably not the case. You can probably set this up manually where whenever a lead comes through the door and you've talked to them, you see that the project's going to be very valuable to your business, you can manually set this up to where you can just press send it to that specific lead, and that protects you from potentially sending these boxes out to unqualified leads or people you may not even be able to service. So that's what you can do here. This is a very simple idea to separate yourself from all of the other competition that is battling for this lead's attention. And this is an incredible way to show them that you are the best company, that you care about this project, and you're ultimately, by the end of it, going to convert a ton more sales out of it. So this was the shock and awe box idea from Dan Kennedy. If you have questions, let me know. I'd love to talk about it more.